midday, under a low, showery sky, a line of coaster ships pushes down channel through the Dover Strait. Inland, on a screen in a curtained room, a cluster of marks swells. 20 aircraft, then more, gathering over the French coast. Telephones ring down a chain of command. On a grass airfield, pilots sprint for their machines. The marks keep coming. Welcome to Same Day, Different Century. I'm Zach. Today is July 10th. By the summer of 1940, the map of Europe had been redrawn in 10 weeks. Germany overran Denmark, Norway, the Low Countries, and France in a single spring. France signed an armistice on the 22nd of June. Weeks earlier, before France's collapse was complete, more than 300,000 Allied troops had been lifted off Dunkirk, the men saved, most of their equipment left behind. Britain, with its empire and commonwealth, but no continental ally left, now faced Germany across the Channel, where German air power and coastal forces made movement increasingly dangerous, though the Royal Navy still contested control of the waters. Even as Hitler still hoped London would negotiate, he ordered planning for a cross-channel invasion, later codenamed Sea Lion. Britain's formal refusal followed days later, but an invasion fleet would have to cross water dominated by the Royal Navy, the strongest in the world. To protect that crossing from the air, and to keep British bombers off the barges, the German Air Force first had to destroy Royal Air Force Fighter Command and seize control of the sky. That single requirement is what made the coming air battle decisive. The forces looked lopsided. The Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, massed across 3 air fleets in France, the Low Countries, and Norway, with several thousand aircraft. Fighter Command, under Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding, had far fewer machines. But the raw count hides the real picture, and here the popular legend misleads. In single-seat fighters, the two sides were closer to even than the legend suggests. Germany's early edge narrowed, and by some measures, reversed as British output climbed. And Britain held advantages no tally shows. Its pilots fought over home ground, so a man who bailed out could fly again the next day, while a downed German became a prisoner. Above all, Britain had built something no other nation possessed: an integrated air defense network. It worked like a nervous system. A chain of radar stations along the coast detected raids forming over France before they crossed the water. Those plots flowed to a central filter room, were combined with ground observers' sightings, and controllers then vectored squadrons to meet the attackers. The Dowding system let a smaller force intercept economically instead of wearing itself out on standing patrols. To see how that system met its first real test, start with a single afternoon off Dover. July 10th is the date the Air Ministry later fixed as the battle's opening, though cross-channel skirmishes had already run for days. That afternoon, radar caught a large formation assembling over the Pas de Calais and turning toward a convoy off Dover, codenamed Bread. German bombers came escorted by a heavy screen of fighters. RAF squadrons scrambled to intercept. What followed was among the largest air engagements yet seen, with roughly 100 aircraft tangled over the channel. The convoy lost one small ship. Losses on both sides that day were modest, and exact counts differ by source. But the pattern held. The system had detected the raid, directed the fighters, and met it over the water. The Germans called this opening phase the Kanalkampf, the Channel Battle. Through July, they struck convoys in harbors to close the strait and to draw a fighter command into a war of attrition. Then the weight shifted. On August 12th, Germany struck radar stations directly. On August 13th, Eagle Day, Germany launched its main assault, striking RAF airfields. Within days, the Luftwaffe leadership judged radar attacks a waste of effort and largely abandoned them, a serious misjudgment. The Germans underrated how central those towers were to the whole British defense. That misjudgment cost them the eyes they most needed. From late August into early September came the most dangerous stretch. The Luftwaffe hammered Fighter Command sector airfields and control centers in the southeast. Pilots flew several missions a day. Stations were damaged, some repeatedly. How close this brought Fighter Command to collapse is an open question among historians. The traditional account holds that it was near breaking point. More recent scholarship associated with Richard Overy argues the strain was real but survivable. The British fighter production outpaced Germany's, and that thin reserves nonetheless held. The margin remains disputed. Then Germany changed its aim. partly in reprisal for RAF raids on Berlin, and partly as a deliberate bid to break British morale and draw Fighter Command into a decisive battle. The Luftwaffe turned its bombers onto London. September 7th marked the beginning of the sustained bombing campaign against London that became known as the Blitz. Whatever pressure the airfields had been under now eased. On September 15th, later marked as Battle of Britain Day, mass daylight raids on London ran into the full weight of Fighter Command and were thrown back with heavy German losses. The failure to break the defense forced a decision at the top of the German command. 2 days later, on September 17th, Hitler postponed Operation Sea Lion. It was pushed back again, then shelved, and then quietly abandoned. Britain would not be invaded. The daylight campaign faded through October, and Britain fixed the battle's official close at the end of that month. The significance kept to what the record supports is large enough without inflation. It is widely regarded as the first clear check to the German war machine and Hitler's first major strategic setback. The immediate invasion threat lifted. Britain stayed in the war and remained the island base from which, 4 years later, the liberation of Western Europe would be launched. The battle also exposed the limits of the Luftwaffe itself. Built to support armies on the move, it lacked both the strategy and the aircraft for a sustained bid to win air superiority over a defended island. The cost fell on a small body of aircrew. Nearly 3,000 men qualified as aircrew in the battle, almost all with Fighter Command. About 540 of them were killed. Weeks into the fighting, Churchill told the Commons that never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. The phrase fixed them in memory as the few. That memory, though, tends to shrink the story to Spitfires against impossible odds. The record is more precise and no less impressive. The Hurricane, less celebrated but more numerous, actually accounted for more German aircraft than the Spitfire did, and Britain's real edge lay as much in radar, central control, and factory output as in the courage of individual pilots. The victory was engineered as much as it was flown. Those curtain rooms, detection, filtering, a single chain of command turning information into interception, became the template for modern integrated air defense, still the basic architecture by which nations watch their own skies today. That same day, different century. I'm Zach. We'll be back tomorrow with another date, another story. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, it's Zach. Real quick before you go, I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot. If you enjoyed the show, all I ask is that you share it with someone that you think would enjoy it too. That's the best way to help us out. I'll see you tomorrow.